Now, folks, if you'll just gather around a little closer now. Come right in a little closer. That's it. That's fine, folks.
All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
With sadness, we commit the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight into the ground. Deceased. It could have been an all-time classic like Leonard Benitez, Leonard Hearns, Napoleon Griffiths, Basilio, Tony DeMarco. But they couldn't get it done in a timely fashion. Some other man pissed right now. It gone. It done. No talk about it again. It done. Done. See? Look. I know some people probably want me to get behind the whole Rick Geezer or Glazer. Pronounce how you prefer. Him being the guru of the pay-per-view numbers and all that. But Rick's a fraud. Rick blocked me. I'm not bothered that he blocked me. I was expecting to get blocked. I've got blocked by a few people on Twitter. But when he said that BOXREC not acknowledging Fury's ban was more accurate clarification of his PED situation than the UCAD ruling, which gave him a backdated ban, I had to lose all respect. The man's a fraud. Bob Arum's got him in his pocket. And yeah, the PBC are doing a lousy job at boxing. Lousy! I've been saying it for years. I stand by that. But one thing I've never done, and I never will do, is make alliances with scumbags because we may have a common indifference with something or somebody. It's not my style. It's not my thing. So Rick Glazer says Wilder does 77 pay-per-view buys in his last fight with Robert Helenius. I'll probably say maybe 100. Rick exaggerating, tailing a few porkies. Flop or solid? It's better than Ruiz and Ortiz numbers and some of the other numbers that the PBC have been producing recently. When Wilder steps up the opposition, the numbers will go up, obviously. This is a warm-up, a tune-up fight. Trying to work out what Derek Chisora is saying here, you know what I mean? Yeah. What's Derek saying, really? Is Derek saying that Tyson Fury cut into the attached part of the thumb on the glove and detached it, so he thumbed him in his eye in the first fight, in the first round? That's what Derek appears to be saying. But it's hard to say. It's a bit risky, isn't it? You get caught more than likely if you try that. I did catch a leak from Team Chisora that he was thumbed in the second fight, but the first fight is a new revelation. Derek, however, said he didn't care at the time, so he didn't say anything. But he says as long as he fights fair, everything's cool. He said, yeah, there was a bit of cheating on the part of the Gypsy King. Now, we know Wilder had all sorts of allegations against Tyson Fury, the gloves included. The loose glove that flopped up and down. I believe his trainer in the first fight was his uncle Huey. He's passed away, so he can't answer any allegations of a tampered glove. Deontay Wilder hurled a lot of allegations at Tyson Fury. Glovegate became a major topic in boxing circles.
First fight, there was a bit of cheating going on in there. I can't talk about it now, but one day I will. Second fight, beat me fair and square. But second fight, he cheated a little bit.
He cheated a little bit?
Yeah.
How did he cheat?
Because the first fight, in the first round, he cut his glove and he thumbed in the eye in the first round. If you look at the fight in the first round, you know, I could not see properly because he thumbed me, because he cut the glove off. That's with a different trainer, you know, understand? But I didn't complain about it at the time, you know, I didn't even care, you know.
I mean, Tyson would dispute that, Derek.
Yeah, you would, yeah, I hope you would, you know, because I never brought it up. I don't need to bring it up. I don't really care about it. As long as he fights fair and square, we're cool.
Listen, Derek, the first fight...
Spencer Oliver changed the topic very sharp. Is this what the gagging order is about? Derek said he's got a gagging order. Press conference on Thursday, Derek made a claim that there was a gagging order. He said it would be a great fight, but he can't really say much because they put a gag on me in the contract. Well, why would they do that? They didn't want him to talk about the alleged tampered glove. Well, has he broke the gag if that's the case? Will Tyson Fury respond to these allegations? I was going to attempt to unravel the BOXREC ranking system, but life is too short. I'm afraid, you know. It's an algorithm that they tweak and manipulate to their suiting. I remember not being impressed with it when Rigondeaux was basically ducked by all his peers, whether they had belts or contenders. And that led to inactivity, and they dropped him out of the ranking system, or at least demoted his position. Frank Warren is using the BOXREC ranking system where Derek Chisora is ranked number 9. He's using that to justify Tyson Fury taking him on as a voluntary for the WBC title. But with Derek only being ranked in the top 15 by all 4 sanctioning bodies, Frank is coming under fire by justifying Derek as a challenger when he's only ranked in the top 10 by BOXREC, whose ranking system comes under fire constantly. At the same time, so do the sanctioning bodies' ranking systems come under fire. I don't know what it is about Fury and Chisora 3. I've tried to be mad at it. I'm not going to pay for it. But I think I'm just out of energy with Tyson Fury, perhaps. And maybe I'm buying into the whole he's doing Derek a favour by giving him this big payday. Going to get a couple of million for his challenge at least. I just don't care enough to make a fuss about it right now, about the fight. Then I've got the bias thing going on because I've interviewed Don Charles. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and me and Donnie's really good. He's a Tottenham supporter too. The fight's at White Hart Lane. Unfortunately, Derek lives in Finchley, which is down the road from White Hart Lane, and he supports Man United. And you know me already, I don't like when people don't support the football team in their hood or closest to their hood. I don't like it. Talking about you support Man United and Liverpool. Where do you live? North London. Come on, man. So what's happening with the Anthony Yard tune-up for Beterbiev? That'd probably be on a separate card, because it was supposed to be on the undercard to DUBOIS LERENA, who Frank Warren and Queensberry have settled on to be Daniel's next opponent. He's 28-1, 14 stoppages, and has fought the majority of his career at cruiser. He's 6'1", not particularly big dude, not a heavy hitter, but apparently he's a decent fighter. I haven't seen him before. That's the only confirmed fight on the Fury Chisora undercard. I don't know what's going to happen with the Yard fight. Better make it quick. Daniel is billed as the heavyweight champion on the Queensberry website. Not the interim or regular champion, as the heavyweight champion. But yet, he's fighting the 13th ranked contender. He could have took on Michael Hunter, who doesn't have a dance partner since the Huey Fury fight fell through. He could have took on Martin Bakole. Obviously, HELENIUS just lost, and he'll be going down the rankings at number 2. Makhmudov, Lenier Pedo at 7, but he could have taken a top 10 opponent. If you're going to bill him as world champion and not regular champion, he should be fighting top 10 opponents. But then again, Tyson Fury isn't fighting a top 10 guy either. So what is it now, Frank? I have to go BOXREC to go look for Kevin LERENA. Is he in the top 10 there? Is that why you selected him? It's a joke, really. Dillian White brands Deontay Wilder the biggest fraud of all sport after claiming that the American doesn't want to face him in the ring. Now, we know there was a long, frosty standoff between the two as Dillian seeked to get a title shot at Wilder's WBC belt. He was the number 1 contender. The fight never materialized, and Dillian has held on to the grudge. Dillian says that Wilder's most recent post-fight press conference, where he was crying after knocking out Robert HELENIUS, discussing the idea that his opponent may never be the same again. He said for a lot of fans, it was Wilder showing emotion, but as far as Dillian is concerned, it's an act. Everything he does is an act. Even fake crying at the press conference the other day, I was just like, you just make me sick. You're a piece of shit. Dillian claims he still wants to fight Deontay Wilder, but he believes a reluctance from Wilder will prevent the fight from happening. He's the biggest fraud in all of sport, never mind boxing. Who doesn't fight his number 1 contender for over 4 years and then claims he is the greatest of all time? He hasn't actually beaten anyone of note yet. He's just a cowardly conman. Now, Dillian eventually got his shot at that belt after Tyson Fury took that belt from Deontay Wilder. And Dillian didn't perform at his best. He knows that. And when you compare his result against Robert HELENIUS, which was a points win over 12, Wilder cleaned up HELENIUS in a round. I think people still believe that Wilder would win quickly against Dillian. But it'd be interesting to see. Dillian's up for it, and he seems to really fancy the job. It would still be a very huge fight. People keep talking about Wilder and Joshua. Wilder and Dillian is unfinished business that maybe Wilder should try and resolve. Dillian seems like he's up for it, but the WBC have ordered Deontay Wilder to face Andy Ruiz in a final eliminator for that WBC strap. I try not to be isolated from the pockets of boxing activity around the world. Not saying I watch all of it, but I don't dismiss it because I might not relate to the fighters like the locals do, who are watching their local fighters. Like when I speak about Derek coming from Finchley and Don Charles supporting Tottenham like I do, and his gym being in North Wheezy, which is just up the road. That's Northwest London. Talking like a 17-year-old. But I like doing that sometimes. But it was our generation who made that slang there. Some people might not think this card is all that, but I really like the card. DILLIAN White versus JERMAIN, who's still unbeaten. Hasn't beaten anyone elite, JERMAIN, admittedly. But it's a good comeback fight for DILLIAN. FRANKLYN looks like he's got quick hands, but doesn't look like he has the type of power that a Povetkin or a Joshua or Fury has, which hopefully will be enough to make him test DILLIAN, but not put him on his back like the 3 I mentioned there. It's a good main event. We have Craig Richards, I see there, making his comeback after his epic fight with Joshua Buatsi, and it was an epic fight. You see, there's a lot of sleepers that won't be mentioned when we're talking fights of the year, but that was a great fight. He takes on Ricard's BOLOTNIKS, who Joshua Buatsi took out. Decent fight. It's a decent fight for the WBA International Light Heavyweight title. BOLOTNIKS gave Buatsi a little bit of a test in the early to mid rounds. BOLOTNIKS came back from the Buatsi defeat in 2021, outpointing Sepp, who was 11-0. It's a decent test for Craig. It's a decent test. Craig Spider Richards, you know, like, he's a kid who came up in that Miguel's gym in Brixton, like DILLIAN, and he's earned his slot on these Matchroom cards. He has. On these DAZN cards, he has. Big up Craig. We have Sandy Ryan, who's 4-1-0, taking on Magali Rodriguez. That's the women representing for the WBC Silver Super Lightweight title. Another fight I'm really looking forward to is the British heavyweight title fight. Look, Eddie, look, a deal should have been done here, right? Because there's good things happening in British boxing, some really good practices. Eddie and the Sowlands are working together. This fight didn't have to go to no purse bid. Nathan Gorman is signed up with the Sowlands and Wasserman, fights on Channel 5. It didn't go to a purse bid. They cut a deal and the fight's on. Nathan Gorman, 19-1-0 versus Fabio Wardley, 14-0. Fabio has got 13 out of 14, and I'm really looking forward to this British title fight. British heavyweight title. Really looking forward to it. When you look at some of the names that have held that title, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno never actually held the British title, which may shock some people. Danny Williams, Audley Harrison, Horace Notice, Gary Mason, R. Henry Cooper, Joe Bugner, Bruce Woodcock, Bombardier Billy Wells, doing this all off the top. Some great names. Great names. And the reason I've done a little roll call of the names there is people used to see British title fights, British heavyweight title fights, British all-weight title fights on terrestrial television. This is why it became so popular and it became institutionalized into our lives, you know? And like, we don't have that no more. And unless you have a DAZN subscription, you're not going to see this. And look, I understand DAZN are doing their thing, but I reckon they could have done a deal, especially the Sowlands being on Channel 5, where they get to broadcast it an hour after Fabio and Nathan Gorman swap punches. An hour after. They don't have to show the rest of the card. That all belongs to DAZN, fair enough. But it's a joint production between Matchroom and Wasserman. Why can't Channel 5 show it an hour after? Let people see the British heavyweight title, man. Come on, man. It would be great advertisement for the DAZN app as well. Channel 5 bringing you the British heavyweight title courtesy of DAZN. Surely it works for everybody. I used to watch British title fights with my old man. World title fights with my old man. All courtesy of terrestrial television. We didn't pay for none. Surely the British title should be seen by as much eyes as possible, especially the young. They should have an affiliation with the British champions. If they're planning to take boxing out of the Olympics in a few years, we need to get boxing accessible to the public. To the people who can't necessarily afford this shit. A subscription. They got other fucking issues like feeding their kids and heating up their place. So then I catch hypothermia in this bitch. This dreaded fucking financial crisis. It's not really hurting me too much at the moment. But I still got to be watching my pennies. But it ain't hurting me. I don't have a big family to feed or nothing like that. That's enough ranting. I really like the card. I think Fabio Wardley is going to beat Nathan Gorman. But the longer it goes, Nathan's chances of victory increase. If this fight gets into the 6th or 7th, has Wardley been into the 6th or 7th in a fight yet? I think the furthest he went is 6 rounds. In 2019 against Mariano Ruben Diaz Struns, an Argentinian. if I was managing Lee Wood and this Mexican motherfucker ain't bringing no belt to the party, cancel the voluntary. It's too dangerous. He's just too dangerous. The risk reward is going to get him frozen out of the game until he's mandated for the belt holders to face him, not getting in the title picture, and Eddie's going to have his work cut out to get him a title shot. I think everybody acknowledges that. So this is the only fight I watched on the DAZN card, to be honest. It's just like, let me take a little break of watching so much boxing. So, Plaza de Toros, Mexico City. Mauricio Lara stopped Jose SANMARTIN from Colombia in the 3rd round. He finished it with a wicked left hook. The Colombian is a tough guy, obviously, who had won his last 7. His last loss was against Emmanuel Navarrete, and he lasted into the 12th before getting knocked out in Mexico. So he's not afraid to go into Mexico. That shows you, yeah, I'm a tough guy. Navarrete is currently the WBO World Featherweight Champion. And yes, SANMARTIN, tough guy. Hands up, coming for you. Following old hands a brick around the ring. What was he going to do? Like, that's how he fights. He's not going to be able to jab and move on this guy. He doesn't have the leverage. He doesn't have the length advantage. He came forward. He knew it was coming. And he landed some good jabs. And he landed some punches. And when he got caught to the body, hard by Lara, he didn't back off. He kept coming. This guy could test the domestic featherweights out here for sure. Not sure the matchmakers would actually stamp his passport to do that. You're going to get a hard day at the office. Hard day. The fact that he had the balls just to stand up to Mauricio Lara like that and follow him around the ring? Serious. It's a tough man. His other losses were to Carlos Zambrano, who held some title of some kind. I remember that. And he was 25-0, and that went the distance. High guard, came forward, didn't attempt the reverse gear. And Lara, he boxed as much as you're going to get Lara to box. He used his jab a lot, but got caught with a lot of jabs because he doesn't move his head. But he fought behind the jab, and he doubled up them left uppercuts and came with right uppercuts and hooks. It was controlled aggression. It was a body shot in the second that signaled the beginning and the end. When Mauricio Lara warms up, it's hard to stop. And you saw him punching his right shoulder, like amping himself up after the first knockdown, and he went in to finish it. Good performance. Eddie put on a card that seemed to please the Mexican crowd. But what's next for Mauricio Lara is the question. Lara, who famously knocked out Josh Warrington during the lockdown 2020, is now 25-2-1, 18 knockouts. And he called out Josh Warrington. He wants the trilogy. Warrington currently owns the IBF featherweight title. He also named Lee Wood, who cancelled on him. Wants the 2 Brits. I want them both. The Warrington fight has become something very personal. And he said Wood doesn't have the right to call himself champion. He said that he was hurt, but Lara saw him on Instagram, and it looks like it's not true. Well, I agree with Lara. And nope, I can't prove it, but I don't think Lee Wood was injured either. If it was a choice out of the 2, he said he'd prefer to take care of unfinished business with Warrington. Become something very personal, and I want to retire him from boxing. You see the mentality them guys are going out there? They ain't looking to mess around, bruh. They ain't looking to mess about. They want knockouts. They want to hurt people. They don't want to stand off and jab and look pretty. No, it's all got to be functional, destructive business. Kill or be killed. Good luck getting in fights with Lee Wood and Josh Warrington or Leo Santa Cruz. You, my friend, are officially blackballed. You're too dangerous for your own good.